Hello friends, in this video I'll be discussing with you trait approach of personality part 1. What does part 1 means? I'll let you know when we progress to the uh, next slides, then we will discuss what does part 1 means. First let us understand the meaning, what is a trait approach and how this approach understands and defines your personality. Uh, Trait means something, qualities or dispositions which are in individual. So individuals, persons are classified into different type of personality based upon their traits. So let us move. What does I was discussing with you the meaning of trait. I told you that genetically determined characteristics that remain stable over lifetime. Means the qualities which you have inherited from your parents. These are certain characteristics and they remain, interestingly, stable over lifetime. They are not dynamic. So in psychological parlance, trait is a stable, persistent and specific way of behaving. These are the observable subjective, see 2 points here, observable as well as subjective and abstract qualities of an individual that ensure the consistency in behavior across situations. So the trait has three major characteristics. They are observable, they are subjective and they are abstract. Means traits are almost three, defined by three their major qualities, and that qualities are there is abstractness in traits, they can be observed as well as subjective, and they remain stable over different situations. Traits are the fundamental factors, that is guiding factors over which consistent behavioral outcomes are based. Means when we behave in particular way and we behave consistently across situations, so the outcomes of our behavior are purely based upon our traits. They are found in each individual. Traits are available in each individual irrespective of age and gender or geographical location. But the degree is varying. It's a very interesting phenomenon. Entire world and only in human population, each and individual differs in degree of trait. Means no two individual are same on the availability of trait, that is intensity of that trait, and as well as on the magnitude. Means we differ with each other. This approach considers that traits are the building blocks of personality. Means whatever we are today, what is our personality today is the outcome of various combination of our traits. So let us move. What Atkinson says about traits is a trait refers to any characteristic that differ from person to person in a relatively permanent and consistent way. Is we are unique in our traits. Trait theorists believe that different personality types result from the varied combination of psychological attributes. Means the availability of traits we have. Each individual has various traits, but why we differ in personality manifestation or personality expression or personality type? So as far as trait theorists are concerned, they said that the different combination of traits are responsible for the uniqueness of our personality. The active and simultaneous interaction among the traits produces different and unique behavioral patterns. On the basis of similarities in intensity and type of trait, the person are classified into different personality types. What does going to mean say that? Means the different personality types are the result of a different combination of traits in each individual. So what are the trait theories? Various trait theories. So here comes why this video is named as trait personality types, trait theory of personality. First one is your trait approach, part one. Part one contains two theories, Allport trait theory and Cattell's trait theory. In part two video, which will be available in short time, that will contain Eisen's trait theory as well as five factor theory. So, in the to avoid the uh, length of the video, if I include all these four trait theories in but one video, that video might cross 1 hour. So it will be too lengthy and it will be a little bit boring for the students. So in this part one, I'll be discussing with you two theories, Allport trait theory and Cattell's trait theory. Now let us start with Allport trait theory. What G.W. Allport said about this theory is, in 1936, he proposed that individuals possesses a number of traits which are dynamic in nature. Here, earlier I told you that traits are genetically determined characteristics which remain stable over lifetime. But as far as G.W. Allport is concerned, he said that individual possesses a number of traits and these traits are dynamic in nature, means they are prone to variability. They determine behavior in such a manner that an individual approaches different situations with similar plans. Means when we come across different situations, we deal with these situations with almost uh, similar or congruent plans. The traits integrate stimuli and responses which otherwise look dissimilar. This is a very important phenomenon. What are the qualities we have? These qualities or these traits integrate the two things. The stimuli which we are getting from internal or external environment and along with the stimuli that produces responses. So that these traits try to integrate stimuli as well as responses which looks like to be dissimilar. How he has proposed this theory was he analyzed almost 4,000 words of English language to look for the traits which describe a person. Based upon his analysis of 4,000 English words, he categorized trait into three following types. That is cardinal traits, central traits, and secondary traits. So let us discuss each trait one by one. What are the cardinal traits? The traits or the qualities or the determined characteristics that are predominant in the entire life of a person. The behavior of the individual is directed and regulated by these traits. As far as India is concerned, for example, Subhash Chandra Bose, the founder of Indian National Army, his love for the nation, his nationalism is a symbol of cardinal traits. And nowadays, if you talk to someone, if someone tries to show some level of nationalism, we try to say that don't try to become Subhash Chandra Bose. Because Subhash Chandra Bose has become symbolic or symbol of nationalism. And you take example of Major Dhyan Chand, his passion for hockey. He was a magician, hockey magician, where people used to say that ball sticks to the hockey stick of Major Dhyan Chand. So if someone's try to play good hockey, we try to say that don't try to become a Dhyan Chand, because the passion of Dhyan Chand for the hockey and love for the nation of the Subhash Chandra Bose, founder general of INA. These are the cardinal traits because such traits often get associated with the name of the person. Getting my point? So these G.W. Allport said that first type of trait that we have is cardinal traits, and individual can be classified into different type personality based on these traits. The second come as central traits. These traits are found in more or less all people. Example, people are honest, sincere, straightforward, and are often used for the recommendation of person for the job. Some, if we are writing ACR, annual confidential reports, or annual performance reports or appraisal reports, in these reports, these traits are mentioned to define the professionalism and the qualities of that individual. Suppose we write an individual is honest and is a very hard worker. He is straightforward in his dealings and sincere, etc., etc. And very importantly, these traits, that is central traits, form the major chunk of the personality of the person. Means, you know, when we cook rice or some dish, the major chunk, the major contribution of the components in a, if you cook chapatis or rotis, the major component in chapatis is wheat flour. So similarly, traits forms the major chunk of the personality of the person. And finally, third type of traits described by G.W. Allport is secondary traits. By virtue of their nature, they have lesser contribution in forming the personality. Means they have their own role in forming the personality, but their role is limited. These traits hardly shows consistency. Consistency in what? Consistency in behavior across different situations. For example, your talking style. Talking style expresses your personality, your hairstyle, your love for sweets. All people used to wear nowadays as a fashion, torn, worn out jeans. These are the secondary traits which are found in almost in all people, and they have very trivial contribution in forming the personality, and that's the G.W. Allport's trait theory of personality. So on the basis of these traits, individuals are classified into different personalities. Then comes your Cattell's trait approach. Raymond Cattell suggested that people differ on a common structure. See, here is a very important part is common structure. There is something common in all of us, and we differ on the basis of that common. Means we have a psychological trait structure in us, and on the basis of that we differ. So that structure is common in us, but its intensity or the magnitude is different. Suppose we have, for example, two eyes. Each human being will have a pair of eyes, but we differ with each other on our eyes. How? Color of the eyes, shape of the eyes, your this one the side shape, or different attributes of your eyes. We differ. So that is the meaning here. Raymond Cattell suggested that we have a common structure, and we all differ on the common structure only. He tried to identify the primary traits from large number of descriptive adjectives found in English language. He discovered a common structure out of these adjectives using a very important technique, factor analysis technique. And dear friends, if you are a psychology student or psychology teacher, you must feel proud to say that this is the only technique developed purely by the psychologist. Factor analysis technique. It's a very wonderful technique to come up for a common structure. Using this technique, Raymond Cattell found that we have 16 traits, and which he named as primary or source traits. So it's a very important point here. Sometimes in your examination for multiple choice question, you may be asked, how many traits Raymond Cattell discovered as a primary traits? You have to take 16 traits. Whatever traits he discovered through the fact analysis techniques were he named as primary or source traits. So, in this theory, Raymond Cattell mentioned the traits are two types: source traits and the surface traits. So, what are the source traits? Source traits are the primary traits, and he considers that the source traits are the building blocks of the personality, means the major components of the personality are the source traits. And what are how many source traits? Yes, you are right, it is 16 source traits. Relatively stable, these traits are relatively stable and not observable during routine interaction, means when we interact with the individual routinely in day-to-day activities, these traits are not observable because they are the result of clustering of surface traits. Here comes the point, means when various surface traits cluster together, interact together, and they form the source traits. For example, take an example here. An individual always reaches in time his office. That same individual shows honesty. He works very hard. He tells the truth. He dresses decently. These are the an individual manifests such type of behavior. Through these traits, we can infer that individual is well cultured. Getting my point? Here, reaches in time, honesty, telling the truth, dressing decently are all, can you name? Yes, it is surface traits. So when these surface traits cluster together, they give rise to source traits. That is, source trait is the individual is well cultured. Individual belongs to a civilized family. Individual belongs to a wonderful parents. So these are the source traits suggested by the Raymond Cattell. Second one I told you are the surface traits. What are the surface traits? As per the APA, a characteristics manifested as a group of interrelated observable behavior. Here, let me explain you. When we behave in a certain specific way, and that way is when that way is observable, and when we behave in different situations, so we observe the behavior of individual in different situations, and when we interrelate that behavior, that group of interrelated observed behavior forms our traits that we call it as a, that Raymond Cattell in fact called as a surface traits. And you know, source traits are the result of the clustering of the surface traits. So the traits are stable over time, surface traits also, and manifested in day-to-day behavior. So here it is, Raymond Cattell with the both the source as well as surface traits said that both the traits are stable over time. As far as source traits are concerned, they are not observable in day-to-day behavior, whereas surface traits are observable in day-to-day behavior. For example, that I told you earlier, when individual reaches in time, the office time is 9 o'clock, 9:30 or 10:30, individual reaches 5 minutes early. This means this is observable. He shows always honesty, or she is honest lady, beautiful young lady. I can talk to her also. She is honest and beautiful young lady. She dresses decently. She tells always the truth and she is committed to her work. So these are the traits which are observable during day-to-day routine behavior. So to these behavioral responses, Raymond Cattell said that these are the surface traits. Getting my point? So dear friends, we discussed trait approach to personality in part 1. Part 1 we discussed the G.W. Allport trait theory. He used 4,000 English words where he defined that individual has three types of traits: cardinal traits, central traits, and the secondary traits. Similarly, Raymond Cattell said that I used factor analysis and come up with a common structure of the traits, and propose that each individual has some common structure and has two types of traits: source traits and surface traits. Source traits are the result of the clustering of the surface traits, and source traits are not observable in day-to-day behavior, whereas surface traits are observable in day-to-day behavior. So dear friends, these are my references. You will cross-check them and you can study for deeper understanding. I hope you will understand through my video only and other means also. So our next video will be trait approach of personality part 2. So my dear friends, if you like this video, love it, you kindly share with your friends. But if you dislike some part of it or whole of it, kindly share with me so that I can improve in the next videos. And I am thankful to the those individuals who always give me their valuable comments and feedback. So how you can comment and give me feedback to regarding my video, dear friends, you can write in my comment box as well as on my email in front of you. That is vermasujit@yahoo.com. I always solicit and welcomes your suggestions that may be your appreciative as well as critical one. By the time, thank you for watching this video.